We're talking Auburn basketball on this New Year's Eve edition of the Uptempo podcast. Let's go, Auburn family Uptempo gang. We missed you guys, man. Blake, it's our last episode of 2024, brother. Here to talk a little Auburn basketball. We talked about it before the season started. This was going to be the toughest non-conference schedule the Auburn Tigers ever played. What would you have said, Blake, if I said Auburn's going to come out of that 12-1?
I would have been pure ecstatic. I would have taken it 7 days out of the week, 365 days out of the year. We all thought that there would be a couple of losses on there, right, on the resume, because you got to think you had the Maui Invitational, and you thought with that stack bracket out there that you might lose one, maybe two. I mean, look at UConn, y'all. They went out there. I mean, they got tore up. I mean, Hurley said, "Hey, I'm not playing in any more of these. Like, this is BS. I'm not doing it." So, you go out there and you win it. And not only did you win it, you faced adversity in your very first game against a top 5 team in the country who is still right on your heels, right? Like, you were their only loss. Iowa State is a dang good basketball team. Great defense. Like, I was super impressed with them. So that is your biggest win. And then you also have the opportunity to go to Cameron Indoor, Dustin. Like, in my opinion, that was huge for Auburn basketball.
It was.
Like, for Auburn to get put on the big stage, to have all the hype, Jay Billis, the voice now of college basketball, Dickie V dealing with all of his stuff and praying for Dickie V. Growing up, he was the guy for college basketball, right? I mean, he was the voice, man. But with everything that he's got going on, Jay steps into that role and he's calling your game and he's praising Auburn and how great they are. And I just thought it was big time. You were on ESPN in Cameron Indoor, one of the blue bloods of college basketball, Coach K and all the rich tradition and everything like that, man. I thought it was excellent. And you lose a close game, right? I pointed it out last night that you were really a second away from a shot clock violation, and their guard picks the ball up right inside a half court, heaves one up, and it goes in. And that was really the difference. You were down 2, and that put you down 5 with a little bit. I think there was a little under 2 to play. And that was the difference. So you really went to Cameron Indoor, and you lost, but did you really lose?
The committee won't view it that way. They won't view it as a loss.
Exactly. Like, you still stayed number 1 at KenPom. So, like, it was a loss, but it really wasn't a loss. And then you faced the defending national, like, what were the national runner-ups, like Purdue. And I know they don't have Zach Edey and all that, but, hey, look, they still had a lot come back on that team. The guards come back and all that good stuff, right? And I know they got a 34, 35-game win streak at home, and you played them in Birmingham, all right? Neutral court, all that good stuff. Doesn't matter. All right, when the ball gets tipped, both teams are on that hardwood, baby, and I don't care where you play. You beat them, and you beat them in convincing fashion. I didn't see a 12-1 finish in the non-con, but I think this Auburn team is so well-rounded, and there's so many guys that you can point to, Dustin, and say, this guy can get a bucket. This guy can get a bucket. You got Johni Broome. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Yeah. But it's also on the other end of the court too, man. It's not just offensively. We're not out here one player shooting 19 threes, all right? We're doing it on both ends. Denver Jones is one of the best in the country. That's how special it has been to me, is to watch this team operate the way they have operated, and Bruce to maneuver lineups to figure out going into SEC play what is working and what's not. Look, Pegues was a big get out of the portal. It just hasn't worked out. But what Bruce has done is he's maneuvered Denver. You get some run at the point. Tahad, you get a little run at the point. I actually like Tahad at the point, Denver at the 2, CBM at the 3, Chaney at the 4, and Johni at the 5. I think that lineup is lethal.
That's what you got to close the tight game with. You got to close the tight game with that one.
That is the death lineup right there, man. That is the one that Auburn is going to possibly win a national championship with. And I think Bruce has done a fantastic job with figuring out those lineups and what fits best. And hell, you even got the addition of Miles Kelly, man. Like, Miles Kelly can flat out shoot it. And I've always preached about 6'6", 6'5", 6'4" guards. And I know Tahad's not that guard. He doesn't have that size. But the things that make him different is his IQ, his vision on the court, his ball handling, and he can shoot it from the parking lot. Okay. Yeah. So, and he gives top-notch effort on the defensive end. But you look at Denver Jones and Miles Kelly, like, those two dudes are something that we really haven't had. And it's been hella fun to watch, man. Like, Bruce has been in his bag, and not just Bruce, the entire coaching staff. I want to give every guy on that staff their credit, man, because that was the knock on Auburn, was on the offensive end. Auburn can't get it done on the offensive end. And even at the free throw strike, I feel like we've improved. Is it that much better? Probably not, but it's better. And I don't think we're going to lose a game to Yale when it comes down to the wire at the free throw line. So I think it's been a joy to watch. 12-1 is absolutely incredible. Like I said, that one loss at Cameron Indoor, and it could have went either way. You could be looking at 13-0, man. This basketball team is special.
Yeah, like you said earlier, you come out of this really tough non-conference schedule, number 1 in KenPom. Yep. The tough loss there in Cameron Indoor, a game that you easily could have won. Yep. We know how the committee, we've seen enough now from how they, just what they view as important, right? We've won SEC championships and watched our overall seed not go up any. Like, you win the SEC tournament and you're like, all right. And before that, you're coming into the SEC tournament as a 4 seed and you come out of it and you get the 4 seed or whatever it was. Yep. So we've seen before, they value tough regular season games, and you didn't have to go to Cameron Indoor, but you did. And you mentioned that Purdue team. Purdue team beat Alabama, by the way. I see our guy Auburn Dad mentioning that. So this Purdue team is capable of winning big games. They're still a good team. Excellent, coach, very well coached basketball team. And Auburn made them look like they didn't belong on the floor.
Yep.
Auburn made North Carolina basketball look like they didn't belong on the floor with Auburn, man. And Memphis. And you look at all these neutral site games, and I know people they get upset in the season about losses on the road and all that. And you got to win on the road, but you actually don't, because the tournament's all neutral site, and this Auburn team went undefeated in neutral sites, and obviously continuing to hold down the non-conference at Neville, just blowing people out. I mean, last night you win by 28, and you're kind of disappointed. You felt like you didn't play your best, and that's just where Auburn basketball is at. And that Iowa State win, I think that's the best win of all of them, just considering that you were down 14, 16, whatever it was, and you found a way. And we mentioned this, me and you talked about this last night on the recap show over there with Ike at the War Report. Last year, Auburn either lost close games, and all the wins were big blowouts. Remember, that was that crazy stat? All of Auburn's wins were by double digits or whatever it was. Not this year. Auburn's been tested and shown that that Iowa State game, they can come back, they can make the clutch plays on the defensive end. And when you talk about, and on the offensive end, and when you talk about when you talk about Denver, Blake, he's the best two-way player Auburn has had, especially at guard, since Bryce Brown. He's just, if he was on any other team or a lot of other teams, he'd be averaging 20 points a game.
Yep.
But I'm going to read off here what these guys are averaging, and it's the unselfish brand of basketball this Auburn team is playing with. We've got 5 guys, Blake, 5 guys averaging double-digit points per game, and Miles Kelly's 0.3 off at 9.7, and I bet if he didn't hurt his wrist, he'd be there. So in 27 minutes a game, Johni Broome was averaging 18.2 points. Chad Baker-Mazara is averaging 12.8 points. Tahad Pettiford is averaging 11.2. Denver Jones is averaging 11.1. Tanny Johnson averaging 10.4. And then Miles Kelly there at 9.7. And hell, he's only played in 7 games, but Ja'Kai Howard's at 7.7. And he's looking like he could be a stud that needs more minutes. It's just, there's so many guys on this team, man, and we've seen before. I think you mentioned it the other day. When you get into a situation like with Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith, yes, you've got 2 NBA guys, and this team might not have an NBA guy. I think Johni will have a chance. We'll see how it all goes. But like you knew that Walker and Jabari were going to the NBA whenever Auburn season ended, right? There really wasn't a doubt about that. They were first round talent guys, and Jabari, what did he get picked third? So when you have those kind of guys, you feel like the ceiling is a national championship. But what happened is, if they didn't have it going, it was hard to get enough contribution from all the other guys. So we don't have that problem on this team. If Miles Kelly's not feeling it from deep, that's fine. Denver might be feeling it. If he's not feeling it, that's okay. Tahad might be feeling it. There's just, and even guys like Chaney and Johni have expanded their range to where you at least have to respect them and they can stretch the floor out. So it's just, this team can attack you from so many different ways. There's so many different guys that can get going at any time. And I wonder if you're the opposing coach and you're trying to scheme up a defense on this Auburn team, I'm imagining like your starting point is, hey, we got to handle 4. Or maybe we talked to our guys over there at the 5 Point Podcast on our Duke preview. They said, to hell with it. Just let 4 get his buckets and try to handle everybody else. But that's the problem. That's exactly what I'm talking about. What do you do? Who do you stop? Do you want to stop Johni Broome? You're saying, okay, we got to make sure Johni doesn't go off and get a triple-double on us, go for 30 and 15. You can focus on that, fine. But who stepped up last night, Blake, when it got a little hairy? Chaney Johnson. 10-0 Johnson by itself.
Denver hit some big shots. CBM, like those dudes, like they're all stepping up. I think that's what's great about them.
Yeah, and then you have a guy like Chris Moore, who's not going to really fill the stat sheet, but he's going to be out there making all these guys better. He's going to do whatever they need him to do and whatever this basketball team needs him to do to succeed. So I thought 10-3. I wouldn't even been mad at 9-4, but I definitely was looking at like, okay, if Auburn can get out of this thing 10-3, then they'll be set up well for the SEC and all that. Now they came out 12-1, and that one loss is 6 points at Duke. Surprise, surprise. I feel like he kind of played the refs a little bit in Cameron Indoor, but that was to be expected. Like, you easily could have won that game. You probably still left that game feeling like you were the better team than Duke. You know, I think Auburn's the best team in the country. It might be a little biased, I guess, but it's like the resume's there. You see what it is. So now I just feel like it's about staying healthy, right? It's just about staying healthy and kind of navigating what I think is going to be the toughest year in the SEC. I mean, this conference has said, okay, and they have invested in the sport of basketball. We forced Bama's hand. Let's call it like it is. Auburn got good at basketball, made a Final Four run, and Bama said, we can't have this. And they went out and got their best coach ever and started investing in their basketball program. And just the whole entire SEC just has kind of built up. And now I feel like we're the best football conference, the best baseball conference, the best basketball conference. It seems like every sport you talk about, the SEC
softball.
is softball, gymnastics. We could go on and on and on. So it's going to be a tough test. I think it's going to be a little more physical than this non-conference slate has been. We've had some physical matchups. That Houston game was, that they're going to bring it. Think about that. That win feels like it was forever ago, but that still
slipped my mind.
Yeah, it still stands out as, and the mental fortitude that the team showed with everything that went on. You talked about it last night on the War Report. It was on freaking Good Morning America that Saturday.
Yep.
Good Morning America. They don't talk about Auburn basketball. Not unless something like that happens. It was, they turned the plane around. It was probably a little bit overblown, but I know that turning a plane around is it looks dramatic and all that kind of stuff. It sounds dramatic. So they played it up. And what does Auburn do? They go in there shorthanded, go into Texas, into Houston, and beat a very solid Houston team. And it's a big time win. And we got so many on the resume already, dude.
You remember when that whole situation happened, and I got on here and I said that might be the best thing that could have ever happened to Auburn basketball. And I had some guy tell me, you're crazy, like kids acting like that. It's just, you got to recruit better kids and all this stuff. I had somebody come at me sideways, and I said, the thing about this whole plane situation is you're a brotherhood, man. Fights happen in every locker room. In the football locker room, they happen, y'all. All right. In baseball locker rooms, they happen. In basketball locker rooms, they happen. Hell, even I know a softball player who played big time softball in the SEC, and arguments happen in that locker room too. All right.
Okay.
So it's how you respond to it. You gotta bounce back when things like that happen. They can downplay it all they want. We know what happened. Two guys got into it. It got a little aggressive, and somebody got their ass beat. All right. That's what happened. Because you don't turn a plane around for wrestling. All right. You don't turn a plane around for that. All right. You turn a plane around because somebody got their lip busted. All right. And got put on their ass, and you got to go back to the airport. All right. But it's how you bond together in that moment. And these guys, they went to Houston. They put it behind them. They got a win. And then when they come back to Auburn, they said, hey, man, all that is over with. Squash it. The beef is dead. Whatever happened, it stays on that plane. We're brothers. We're going to finish this season right, and we're going to do it right. I think that's a testament to your head coach and the coaches that he has on his bench beside him. This is a close group, man. And I felt like it was something that, yeah, it might not have painted a great picture for Auburn that weekend, but it's something that when you look back on the season, you might say, hey, man, that brought this team together. And hell, one of the guys involved in that, he took a lot of heat for effort, Dustin.
Yeah.
There was a clip that went around Twitter saying that he didn't need to be on the team anymore, that he was an embarrassment. And now look at him. He's out here, Sports Center top 10 dunks. All right. We had somebody last night saying that, he looks aggravated and lazy sometimes on the court. I think body language for some of these kids is a little different. All right. I don't think it's him being negative towards his teammates. I think it's him wanting to play better. Like last night, he took a bad shot. He clanked it off the side of the rim. All right. And you kind of saw him, oh, man. I think that's just him being hard on himself. I don't think that's anything towards his teammates. I think it's him just being tough on himself because he expects to make that shot. And Ja'Kai Howard is going to play a massive role. You said it earlier. Like he's probably got to get some more minutes going down the road, right? And when we get into SEC play, Ja'Kai has hustled ever since he's come back. We were up 38 points the other night with a minute and a half left, and he was jumping passing lanes. And I was sitting there going, man, this kid, he took all the heat earlier in the year, and now he's turning it around. And that goes to your head coach of going in, having a meeting with him and saying, hey, look, this is what we do at Auburn. And if you don't want to do it, then you can pack your stuff and you can go. And I think that's what happened. And Ja'Kai Howard answered the bell. You even look at what's his name? Jaheim Howard. What's his name?
Hudson.
Jaheim Hudson. Yeah. Look at him on the bench. He was suspended also. Look at him on the bench, man. He is getting after it. He's high-fiving teammates. He transferred in, y'all. I'm sure he thought he was going to come in and get 15 minutes a night. He transferred in, and he's on the bench, but he's still dapping people. Oh, hey, baby, good job. Like, things like that can bond you together, man. It can make you closer than what you think in sports. That's why everybody says it's always a brotherhood. And I'm proud of these dudes, man. Like, I'm proud of them for not letting that situation ruin their season or even get in the way of this non-conference schedule.
Yeah, and you can't argue with the way Bruce handled it. Ja'Kai sat for a little bit, and since he's came back, he's played great. And is the body language, is it he's not Dylan Cardwell. Not everybody's going to be this super hype guy, and maybe
Great
his
point.
demeanor is just different. But I look at his effort. If his body language sucked and then his effort sucked, I would say something about it. Yep. But his effort's great. So just because he's not smiling and high-fiving and doing chilling with Dylan, and by the way, I will never if you watch that segment, I will never let Dylan give me a shot or take my blood or nothing like that. He had blood spilled all over the table over there. Yeah. But look, not everybody's going to be that guy, man. And you don't want everybody to be that guy. Maybe Ja'Kai Howard doesn't find a lot of stuff funny. And I don't know him. I'm just saying maybe he's just a serious dude. And he's a stone cold killer that does windmill dunks and gets the Neville Arena up on his feet. Like just crazy. Just crazy. And it's like me and you both think that the windmill dunk it was the best of the two, right? But it seemed like the consensus was that the alley-oop reverse was better. My thing is hell of a debate to have. Two of the better dunks I've ever seen in the same game.
It is, bro. And what's crazy is like those are dunks that you see in an NBA dunk contest. Like those are Zach LaVine type dunks in an NBA dunk contest. Like off the charts. When I saw him windmill, I said, "There's no shot." And then he threw it down with authority, and I said, "That's the dunk of the year, bro. That in college basketball, that is the dunk of the year. The athleticism, full speed down the court, in game, not in practice. We ain't talking about practice. We're talking about the game. Windmilled, and I don't care if we were up 30, 40, whatever. Insane. Yeah, the reverse alley oop, like that was sick too.
The pass was clean.
The pass was clean, but that windmill, man, I guess like a lot of people when you see it, you really don't know how hard that dunk is. But when he caught it like, he caught it at his jock, y'all, and brought it all the way. And I was just like, oh my goodness, the athleticism, man, insane hops.
Yeah, it was filthy. I'm glad to see the way he's responded to the situation. I'm glad to see the way the team's responded to the situation and all this stuff we talk about, Blake. I'm going to pull it back up one more time. It leads to this. It leads to this kind of stat right here. Just unselfish. Just everybody, they just want to win basketball games. They've all bought into the vision. And shout out to Bruce and the entire staff for getting guys to do that. It's not easy to get all these guys that could be playing in other places and getting more minutes, and all of them could come in and make a case for, hey, I need 3 or 4 minutes a game. But they've all sacrificed for the betterment of the team. And I think that when you see them in crucial situations, they always seem to be composed. They always seem to be calm. They always make the high IQ play because for the most part, it's a veteran team. And they all want to play together. They all enjoy playing together. It's just an unselfish brand of basketball. You're not counting on one guy. You're not counting on 2 guys, and you feel like if something like the CBM situation last year versus Yale where he got kicked out, not asking for that kind of crap to happen in the tournament this year. Let's say if a guy gets hurt for a game, or Johni, perfect example, Johni going down for the majority of a game a couple of nights ago, and Auburn still wins by 40. Like, you just got so many guys, man, where if one guy gets banged up or if one guy gets teed up and gets tossed, you got another guy that can come in there and handle the business. And I think the thing I like most about this team, man, outside of the unselfishness, is the versatility on the offensive and defensive end. If it's a 52-55 game, I feel like Auburn can hang in there, clamp down defensively, get the buckets when they need to, bang with you, play that sloppy style, and get that dub. If it's flying up and down the court and it's first one to get to 90 wins, I feel like Auburn can handle their business and be that first team to get to 90 and win that shootout as well. So there's just so many things that this team does well that it just really, you look at March and you're like, hey, it's going to be a tough out. We're going to be a tough out, Blake.
I'll tell you the most impressive thing to me is they know who their leader is, right? They know that 4 is the guy on this team. And you can see this Auburn basketball team go into droughts, right? They get big leads. They'll go like 4 or 5 minutes with droughts. And sometimes I don't think it's bad offense. I just think that they're so confident. And they're like, hey, man, we're up 20. Like, let's let a couple fly. And then Johni's, he's got to reel him back in. And he's like, hey, look, get it back together. We're okay. There's leadership and there's accountability on this team. And they also we have a freshman guard who, y'all, in my opinion, he might be one of the greatest to ever play at Auburn. That's it. That's talking all positions. I think he could go down as one of the greatest to ever play Auburn basketball. That's how I feel about Tahad. I think he is special. And I said last night, if you want to win it all, guard play wins in March, and he's going to have to take you there.
Yeah.
Him and Denver are going to have to take you there. And I think they look at him as minutes are going up, shots are going up. He's confident. He'll let it fly. He walked into Cameron Indoor, y'all, big shot after big shot, and said, "Hey, I'm not afraid of the moment. I'm from Jersey, baby. I'm from Jersey.
It's when
I'm
he
not
seems to show up is the big moments when he really pops.
Houston.
Yeah.
He got hot against Houston. It's the big time games he shows up, and they look at guys like CBM, Denver Jones, Chris Moore, guys that are gonna work, man, hard work. They're just gonna give the effort. CBM is one of those guys where he can be going offensively. The shot can be on, but man, he's busting it on defense, jumping passing lanes, moving his feet. Just all the good stuff. And Denver Jones is the same way. On ball defender, just elite. And that 6'4" size, it's hard to get around Denver. It's hard to get into that mid range, get to that bucket. This team has so much to offer. And then you look down at Chaney Johnson, and you're saying, this is a dude that he wasn't even offered a D1 scholarship. They told him he wasn't good enough. And he played a game in front of Bruce, and Bruce said, "Oh, man, I got to go get this cat. He's at the wrong level." And now you start seeing the mid-range shot develop. He can step outside and shoot it. I think that's also a big play for Auburn's offense, is you have Chaney can shoot it from outside, and Johni can shoot it from outside, and it spaces the floor so much for Auburn. Because remember, with Walker, you couldn't pull Walker out and him shoot it. I mean, he hit a couple, I think, that season where you were like, oh, Walker's hitting a three. But as far as like shooting it with confidence, when Johni shoots a three, I'm confident. I'm like, okay, he took a good shot. I'm okay with it. I'll live with it. But that allows those flex cuts and things, man, to the rim. And you got Cardwell, an elite passer. We hadn't even talked about him tonight. Cardwell, elite passer. There was a flex cut. I think it was against Iowa State. We were down 2 with like 2 minutes left. It was after they called that flagrant foul, that cheesy flagrant foul, and we were down 2, and he hit Miles Kelly on that flex cut, and this perfect ball right to him, bang, tied the game up. Impressive stuff. Like, everything is so crisp and impressive with Auburn that it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch, man. And I just think that this is Bruce's best overall complete team. And I think last year, with the guys who were here, I think last year there's a little get back in these dudes where there's like, hey man, we get on Twitter and we get on Instagram and we see all this crap about Yale and they lost to an Ivy League school. And I think there's some motivation behind that. And I think this team's special, Dustin. I really do, man. I said it last night. I think this team could get us to where we really want to go, and it wouldn't be some magical run this year. Right. It would be an expected run. And that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think expectations should be high. We got one more segment to get to before we do. Big shout out to my guy Fire Freeze, gifting 20 memberships on this New Year's Eve. Thank you, buddy. You have been supporting. You have been rocking with us, man. Yeah. You're consistent giving these memberships, donating to the super chat. So big thank you, brother. We appreciate it a lot. We work hard here, and you're always in here showing your support. So thank you, brother.
Hopefully in 2025, Fire Freeze, we can change your name in 2025, baby. Hopefully in the fall of 2025, we get to change that name.
I hope so. I do. I do hope so. Blake, what are these 20 recipients of these new memberships going to be getting?
Hey, look, we just dropped a member pod. Dustin doing some recruiting pods for looking into that 2026 class for the Auburn Tigers on the gridiron, man. I thought it was a great episode. Y'all go check that one out. That one released to JV and varsity. And you can see right here on the screen, $3.99 a month JV squad, $5.99 a month varsity squad. got one coming up for the varsity squad that I will probably release tonight, maybe tomorrow. And it is Dustin's thoughts on where Auburn football currently sits and the state of the program and where we might go. All right. I listened to it last night and I thought it was a heck of an episode. And we're going to get that one out at $5.99 a month. There's a lot of Auburn baseball content coming up. Gameplay with you. Hop on the Xbox with us. Game day group chat. It's just it's a vibe in there, y'all. Like we talk about life and sports and all kind of good stuff. So join us with these memberships. We would love to have you. A lot of great content. I know me and Dustin are looking into the Senior Bowl to go back and do the Senior Bowl content because there's a couple of Auburn guys that are going to be there, and we would love to get to ask them some questions and get their answers, kind of like I did last year. Make a little episode about it for y'all. So that's where we sit with the memberships, y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Blake said, I just kind of sat down because I've been getting a lot of questions from you guys, getting DMs, getting text messages like, what do I think about this? What do I think about that? So just kind of laid out what I think are the positives about the Auburn program and what are the things that I think need to change. And you guys know where I kind of stand on the football situation right now. I'm in the middle because I don't think there's any definite answer one way or the other. If the team went out and went 9-3 next year and looked great, I wouldn't be that shocked. If it fell apart and they went 5-7, I wouldn't be that shocked. Like that's just kind of where I stand with it. I know that's not popular. I know people don't like that their podcast hosts or media people to be on the fence, but I'm on the fence with it, man. It's the everything player acquisition. There's so much stuff off the field that is going in the right direction. I think that the player culture and all that kind of so many things going, but ultimately the lights come on for 3 to 4 hours in Jordan Stadium, and that's all that matters. And that part's been crap. So, but I hope you guys enjoy that pod. I talked for about 30, 40 minutes. It's just about kind of my overall, I guess, like state of the union, state of the program and where it's at. So I hope you guys enjoyed that.
I think I'm on that fence of like, I want Hugh to be good. I don't want to give up on Hugh. I really don't, y'all. But today, LSU put a little bit more heat on the stove for me because they go and they creepy Uncle touch Baylor in a bowl game. I mean, they did. And to me, you want to talk about they had a great season. It's your first game of 2025. LSU touched them up. And so they're going into the offseason with, man, they just got slapped by an SEC school. Can't happen back-to-back games. So there's a little bit more heat on this stove, man, going into Waco week 1. I think you got to bring it and you got to come out and you can't let this fan base down. We have had too much letdown in the past couple of years. We got to have some positivity. And I'm with you, Dustin. I think everything's been going right off the field, but it's time it's got to start going right on the field. I'm tired of it being right off the field. I need it to mesh together and us get a plan. All right. Get a plan and put our best foot forward to execute that plan. And speaking of foot forward, maybe this kicker that we're bringing in, maybe he can help us out a little bit with that. And, we can start making plays in the clutch and win some football games. Cause it like Ike said, it damn sure feels like basketball is the way of life right now for Auburn. And I love basketball, but it shouldn't be that way at Auburn University. It should be.
They both can be good. They both can be good. They both can be good.
We should not be terrible at football. We shouldn't.
Should be terrible at any of the big three. There's too many resources at Auburn to be terrible at football, basketball, or baseball in 2000 and now 25.
It's a fact.
Shouldn't happen. Other sports, okay, something falls off here, something falls off there. Those three should at least be competitive, man. And Auburn has won 3 Heisman trophies over there, best player in football award on the football side. might be in line, Blake, to get our first National Player of the Year in basketball, because Johni Broome, I don't think it can be argued. It cannot be disputed. Right now, I think he's shown that he is the best player in the country, averaging 18.2 points per game. And he could be getting a lot more minutes. He just doesn't have to because of the depth on this team with Dillon and with Chaney. 11.5 rebounds, 3.4 assists. His passing has got better and better throughout his 3 years at Auburn. You mentioned Dillon's passing in the post. Johni, same thing. Sometimes them working together in that 4 or 5 spot, I'm like, man, you got two bigs that can pass like this and have a basketball IQ like this. 3.4 assists for your big man, not too shabby. And then 2.6 blocks, so he's definitely asserting himself on the defensive end of the court and shooting a very crisp 56% from the field. So I just, it's been so fun to watch this guy, Blake. He's been so dominant. Gave us a little scare a couple of nights ago. I definitely spit. What sucked about that was I knew that I was going to spend the next 24 hours on Twitter just constantly refreshing for any kind of update and texting whoever I could text and find out anything I could. So he gave us a little bit of a scare there, but ultimately, obviously, he's good to go. And he's just been dominant, man. From the moment that this season tipped off, he's just been dominant. The national media has taken notice. I mean, everyone that I listen to has said he's the front runner for National Player of the Year. If he can just kind of continue this in conference play, which I actually think, I know this might sound a little crazy. I think you might see a little bit of an uptick in Johni Broome's production when we get to SEC play, because I think his minutes might go up a little bit, and just because of the style of play. The SEC, when I watch these other teams, it's physical. Just like SEC football, just like SEC everything else, man. It's a physical league. And I think there's just going to be nights where we're just pounding it. We're just pounding them down low. You're pounding Chaney, you're pounding Dillon, and you're going to let Johni do his thing. And so I think you might see a little bit of an uptick, at least in points, probably rebounds too, just because I think the style of game that Auburn's going to be in. Blake, how massive would it be if he continues on this pace and Auburn gets a National Player of the Year award winner? Like, just what would that mean for the program, man?
If he gets National Player of the Year and Auburn makes a Final Four run, you got to give the man a statue. You got to.
We retire the number. You've been the number retiring guy lately. We retiring 4 if it happens.
You might have to. It's just what he's done for Auburn basketball. Right. It's like I said, the leadership, holding guys accountable, his play on the court, the relationship with the coach, for him to love Auburn the way that he does, to come back this year and help this basketball team, unfinished business. Like, I think you're to the point, if Auburn makes a run in the tournament, he's up there with Chuck, man. Like, the numbers don't lie, and Johni's been that guy. Numbers don't lie. Johni's been that guy. I think what makes him truly special and gives him a shot to play in the NBA is his ball handling has gotten better since he's been at Auburn. You saw it last night. His ability to step out on the wing, top of the key, and hit jumpers. He can even go behind the arc and hit a couple jumpers. I think that gives him the opportunity to play in the NBA. Now, is he going to play the 5 in the NBA? No. But you got to be able to shoot in the NBA. If you can't shoot, you don't play. You're not going to last long. That's why I don't understand the whole Bronny thing. Bronny can't shoot, so Bronny's not going to make it in the NBA. But Johni, his passing, man, his ability to go to the free throw line and get better, working on things that he knows in order for this team to have success, he's got to be better at. Watching him play defense while he's in foul trouble, things like that is what makes Johni Broome great. Things like him getting in the huddle and saying, hey, we got to get it together. Give me the ball. Let me go to work. The Duke game, we were down. Like, there was a point where we were teeter-tottering 10 double-digit, down double digits in Cameron Indoor. And Johni said, hey, I'm here. All right, just give me the ball and get out of the way. He's a guy, Dustin. And I think he's one of the greatest to ever do it for Auburn basketball. And I truly mean that. He's just a difference maker. And we've had some good ones come through in the past, 10 years. And it's been fun. We've been on a wild ride. But this guy, if he can win National Player of the Year, that's just another bullet in the chamber for Bruce, right? And my team, we can say bullet in the chamber. So yeah, but it would be huge for Bruce in recruiting. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah. Woo! Let's go. Let's go. Little shot. Shots fired.
I had to.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, Johni is the straw that stirs the drink for this Auburn team on the defensive side of the floor and the offensive side. And Auburn is a tough out, even in March, without Johni Broome. But with Johni Broome, Auburn is a national championship contender. So that's just he brings that extra level to this team. So very, very excited and very proud of Johni, man. And it's some of these guys, development. A lot of talk about that this week at Auburn with the quarterback situation. Look at Chaney Johnson. From the moment Chaney Johnson came to Auburn, has he not developed and got better every single game? It feels like Johni Broome. He's in his third year and he's getting better. He was great the first two, but he's consistently developed and got better and gotten better. And I look at Tahad and he seems to just be getting better as the season goes on. It's just like, bro, this staff is so good. They're so good at so many different things, at putting together a game plan, at breaking you down in the half court on the offensive side. I mean, we can just talk for days about everything they're good about basketball-wise, and then you look at player development and recruiting and all that. And shout out to everybody a month ago that hit me up on Twitter and said that Auburn couldn't recruit anymore because Bruce Pearl got political on social media around the election. Auburn's number 11th. Auburn's 11th currently in recruiting. Shut your ass up. Shut up, okay? My coach is going to recruit well. He's going to develop players well. Just this Auburn basketball team is rolling, man. Shout out to our guy Steve Forrest becoming a new member. So 31 new members joining the Up-Tempo gang today. Big shout out to our guy Fire Freeze for gifting a lot of those memberships. So shout out to you, Steve, for joining. Before we get out of here, y'all, please hit that like button, sub to the channel. And I'm going to go watch this playoff game, Blake, see what Boise and Penn State's got to offer. Maybe it's a little bit more exciting than the first round of playoff games, my guy. But that's all I got tonight.
What is all this stuff about Quinn Ewers? I'm pulling it up on Twitter.
I saw it way earlier in the day. It was just, I guess it was like a quote. $6 million. He said somebody offered him $6 million to hit the portal. I saw it this morning. I didn't see, like, it didn't go too in detail.
$6 million
for a guy that stays hurt
for 1 year.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Rules
are coming eventually, we hope. Some kind of collective bargain and some kind of something.
For him to go to the Pop-Tart Bowl and walk out at halftime.
Woo, don't get me started now.
Hey, I'm sorry, y'all. Look, the whole quitting on your team, the whole point I was trying to make the other day on Twitter is some people come at me and look, quitting is quitting, in my opinion. And this is the last thing I'll say before we get out of here. Whether you opt out or you quit at halftime, you quit, dog. You quit. You quit. Jaden Daniels and Cam Ward are no different, in my opinion. They quit. They both chose to, in hell, in my opinion, opting out, not even going through the bowl thing and just saying, hey, we're not going to play. I told y'all the other night, I watched a couple Auburn guys stand on the sideline in street clothes last year and watch us get pounded by Maryland. I just don't like it. I want you to finish what you started. And it doesn't sit right with me. And look, whether Cam Ward was told that he was going at half or whatever, if you're going to do that, then you should come out before the game and say, hey, look, as a coach, you should say, hey, my Cam Ward, he's only going to play the first half, just to clear his name. But I don't think that's truly what happened. I think you tried to cover it up because you let him break the record, and then you said, oh, well, he was only going to play the first half anyway. Quitting is quitting, y'all, and that's where I stand on it. It's to the point where we've let it get out of control, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. That was a wild scene. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I've never seen a guy. I felt like 5 or 6 minutes ago, I was like, he's gonna have to put his helmet back. I just couldn't believe he actually stood there and watch that go down. Big shout out to the Sanders kids, both of them, for playing in a meaningless bowl game for Colorado. And they got their doors blown off by BYU. And kids stayed out there the entire game, and they played their asses off. And Shador has a whole lot of money on the line, and he still chose to come out and play that game. So shout out to them, and shout out to Dion, because I know that's obviously the way he raised them to be that way and to stay out there and fight for their team. So very impressed with the Sanders family and how they handled their bowl game situation the other day.
You know, I made a TikTok about Colorado and how they played, right? Travis Hunter just won the Heisman. He's going top 5 pick. He didn't have to play, y'all. Shador, same way. He's going first round. He's a top 3 quarterback off the board. Yeah. He didn't have to play. They're going first round. They're going to make $20 to $40 million rookie contract. And all these people want to get online and they want to bash Dion and Prime or whatever you call him. And they want to say, oh, the way he's doing it, I've even done it. I even said that in my TikTok. I've even done it. All right. I've gotten on here and been like, hey, where's that luggage you were bringing? All right. But I got to give him a standing ovation for raising his kids to finish their commitment.
Absolutely.
And fighting for the school that they so-called love. That's what's crazy to me is these people, I'll always love this school, but I'm transferring. All right. I got to give my props to Shador, who is heavily criticized in the media. People are digging into Travis Hunter's personal life with his fiance and things like that, and he still chooses to go out and play. I got to give them their flowers, Dustin. Like you have to. You can't shit on these kids and then not lift them up when they do the right thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to tear them down, then you got to lift them up when they do the right thing. And I just think them playing speaks volumes for how they were raised. Like you said, you finished the job, even though you got your doors blown. Y'all, Colorado could have went down 21-0, and Shador and Travis could have said, "Man, screw this! I'm not going back out there." It just speaks volumes to what we thought might be a crappy culture and a locker room that might be divided at one point because you've had former players go on podcast and all that and say certain stuff, but it's not. It's a culture that might be a little different than what you're used to, but Prime has those kids loving what he's doing out there, and they played. Shout out to Syracuse as well, right? Their coach, he got up on the mic and he said, ain't nobody on this team sitting out. He said, we play football at Syracuse, all right? He said, we don't sit on the sideline in street clothes and we don't quit at halftime, all right? We play football. And if you get a scholarship to Syracuse, you're going to finish that scholarship and you're going to finish your commitment to Syracuse football. So shout out to that dude, man. And shout out to the kids who stand up and do it for real.
Yeah, I'm hearing the fireworks going off. So you guys go out there, man. Have y'all a safe and happy New Year's Eve. We'll be back later in the week. Love you guys. Smash that thumbs up button, sub if you haven't. We'll see y'all next time. War Damn Eagle, baby.
War Damn, baby.